Oh, hey there, and welcome to the Ope Three-Way Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm without a beer today, but I'm with my good buds, Don and Pierce. As always, fellas, how are we doing today on this beautiful, beautiful June 11th?
Fucking hot
That's it.
in Wisconsin today. It is hot as shit.
What's
It's
the
a
what's
little
the temperature there?
Well, let me take a look.
It's 85 by me. It's a nice strolling kind of day.
Oh, 85.
You
It's
know.
warmer there. Yeah, a little bit.
81, 42% humidity. So,
Yeah, so we're at like 79 right now, so it's not really any different here. I mean, and that's at 7 o'clock, so it would have been warmer earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a hot one today.
Look at how polite
Not
I am
even-
converting my temperature to your metrics. Your
Oh, you
ridiculous,
Canadians and your concessions.
non-logical, like.
Well, it's logical.
No, it's not.
Yes,
Base
it is.
10 for everything makes so much sense.
I mean,
What's the boiling point of
Says
water
you.
in Fahrenheit?
32.
212.
No, boiling point, not freezing point.
The boil.
212. My brain is fried today, boys. It's been a long day at work. I apologize.
That's
Yeah.
like
What an irony.
boiling point 100 Celsius, freezing point 0. Not hard.
No, not at all, but
Instead, you got
Inferior
32.
all
And
the
sorry,
same.
what's the boiling point of water in Fahrenheit again? 180?
212.
212? Ah, even worse. Like
212.
What a ridiculous number.
I
I mean,
like
it's
it.
easy if you try, you know?
What's easier than 0 and 100?
I don't know, not being in the negatives when it's 32 degrees out.
That means it's cold.
Easier not arguing about metric systems.
When you see a negative, it means it's cold.
Yeah.
When you
we
see
Follow
do
us
it
on
here
socials.
when you
X,
no, I'm not
Facebook,
done.
YouTube,
too.
Spotify, Instagram. Now Dropkicked. I made us a Dropkicked account.
Can we get an account on
Hey.
the Weather Network?
Not in fucking Canada, we're not.
Just local on the 8s will just be us bickering about the fucking about temperature differences.
And don't get me
You guys
started
don't-
into centimeters and kilometers and grams and kilograms. Like it's all just base 0, right? Base 10,
We only use
100.
grams here if we're selling drugs. So,
Yeah, that's the best reason to use them.
hi, Marta.
Or to stop hijacking the stream.
No, Marta's awesome. Shout out to Marta.
Shout out, Marta. Yes, we are live.
The heart and soul, that's Marta.
All right. What are we talking about today?
We are
Besides
talking about,
temperature.
like I said, we got a Dropkicked. I want you guys to sign in on that. They have 3 matches on your profile that are your favorites. I put my favorite on there. We can each have a favorite. Follow us on Dropkicked. We'll be rating matches and stuff soon. But today we'll be talking about Worlds Collide, Money in the Bank, and what happened on Raw at the end of the show, and possibly a name change on NXT.
Definitely
Possibly.
a name change. Definitely a
Ooh.
name change.
Well,
Always up to
yeah,
possibilities.
I wanted the suspense for the
Oh
people
my
that
God.
you don't know.
All right. Well, beyond that,
Hit me with it.
There it
On
is.
this day, June 11th, I saw clearly that 2006 ECW One Night Stand, an event Edge was on. Fun fact, him, Mick Foley, and Lita defeated the team of Beulah McGillicuddy, Tommy Dreamer, and like 68-year-old Terry Funk in a
Right.
crazy hardcore match. It was awesome. It's legit awesome.
Ah,
was the start-
Chainsaw
it was-
Charlie.
It was basically an ECW versus WWE pay-per-view, and was the start of WWE CW, which we don't want to talk about too much besides this pay-per-view because it was the only highlight. In the main event, RVD would cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase ahead of time on John Cena and win due to interference from Edge, and become the WWE champion, and at the same time revive the ECW World Championship. At that time, it was a world championship, and then the Big Show won it, and it stopped being a world championship.
wait. So hold
According
on.
to you, or
So
I mean,
Rob Van Dam beat Cena. What does that
yeah.
have to do with
Yes.
bringing back the ECW championship? He didn't do it. It was just the company did it, right?
So Rob, in the lead up to the pay per view, Rob Van Dam and Paul Heyman were both saying, because Paul Heyman obviously is the creative head of ECW, on screen behind the scenes for whatever reason it was Vince just burying the promotion.
Can we continue on the question that I asked, please?
They
No,
were
you don't
saying
like Vince.
if Rob were to win, he would bring back the ECW championship.
That I do recall.
Okay, so but does that replace, or does that just as I'm
No,
trying to understand?
because on ECW on Sci-Fi, the first episode on Sci-Fi, they came out. Vince said that it was legitimate. Paul Heyman asked Rob if he wanted to, vacate the WWE Championship, and he goes, "No, this one spins." And
And
then he
thus
got
the
high and lost
WWE
both titles.
Championship was saved. Yes. And the Zombie debuted, lest we forget.
Jesus Christ!
It's so
How did they just not get it? It's an,
It was, ironically enough, the Zombie was probably a death knell for WWE ECW and what it was intended to be versus what it became. So
well, the death nail was there was a disqualification on that show in an
that
ECW show.
too. Yeah, that was just more dirt on the grave, frankly. But
But yeah, that's literally the reason why he got both. It revived the ECW World Championship to start the promotion with an ECW original, and he kept the WWE Championship literally because it spins.
okay, but yeah, so he remained WWE champion. That's what I was trying to understand, because
Yes, and then a month
yeah,
later, because he got high, he lost both titles and then went on a 60-day suspension.
fantastic.
I was the
Fantastic, actually.
ECW champ, but then I got high.
Yeah, literally, him and Sabu
Ooh.
both got caught with drugs.
What a world
La-da-da-da.
we were in 2006.
Well, we'll jump to 2007 because we're talking about the year later on Raw after Vince McMahon lost the ECW championship to Bobby Lashley. They decided to have McMahon Appreciation Night to cheer him up, and it was not a good night for him. And at the end of the show, he's walking down a hallway. He's got all the superstars down the hallway. Everybody's mean mugging him, except for Paul London. You listeners can't see this, but Donnie, this is what he looked like. And that caused Paul London to eventually get fired. He was not told he needed to mean mug him. He was just told, the boss is walking by, so he figured he'd smile.
I mean, you got to read the room, though.
Yeah. And the show ended with him entering his limo, looking left and right. Door closes. Limo explodes.
Yeah.
Who killed Mr. McMahon?
I
And
don't
then
know who killed him, but I do remember that a certain now current president of the United States did call to make sure that he was in fact okay and not actually dead.
Yeah.
Mm.
DJT got worked.
Oh man,
And
that's
that
still real to me,
storyline,
damn it.
that storyline would get canceled about 3 weeks later for reasons.
Yes.
What were the reasons?
You know what the reasons are.
No, actually, I don't remember. That's why I'm asking.
Think about it. Think about it. 2007.
Big haps.
I don't know.
Almost killed wrestling. The preemptive word is killed.
Yeah, I hated to use that as the operative term here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's
why did one have to do with the other though?
Because they were going to have a Mr. McMahon. Well, this will probably come up in either next week or the week after on this day, but they were going to have a Mr. McMahon like remembrance episode or memorial episode. And that was the day they found out that redacted Nancy and Daniel were found dead. And so they made it a redacted memorial show on the fly.
Right. Okay, I genuinely
while
didn't
they
remember.
were figuring out what was happening.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be stubborn here, but like, okay, yeah, like that. Now that makes sense because I guess you didn't want to run back to back eulogies for either people who don't deserve them or people who aren't actually dead.
Well,
Right.
at the time, they did not know that the redacted did not
No,
deserve
that
it.
I know, that I remember, and you know, like I guess given the circumstances, I don't necessarily blame them for what they did, but that's also kind of largely the reason why we just don't get those anymore, outside of like small little blurbs.
Hmm. I
Thanks,
mean, that
redacted.
stands to reason. Stands to reason.
But we will jump ahead 10 years, 2017. New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion takes place. In the main event was Okada versus Omega 2 for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And it goes to a 60-minute time limit draw. It does not feel 60 minutes. The match is fucking incredible. At the time, it was rated by the Wrestling Observer. Uncle Davey rated it 6.25 stars.
Wow.
At the time,
What an
the highest
obscure
rated
rating.
match of all time.
Was it in the Tokyo Dome?
I think it was Osaka, so no.
I missed out on a whole
Osaka
star
Joe
then.
Hall.
If it was in the Tokyo Dome, it would have
Yeah.
been a 7.25.
Yeah, but Dominion in Osaka the year after was, went 7 stars and is now the highest rated match of all time.
Hey, and then it could have been 8 if it was in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah. But speaking of Okada and Omega, we are getting Chapter 5 in America. In North America. In the US of A, baby. At All In.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I guarantee
In the
it will
heart of
not be as
Tejas.
good as most of those, if not all of those other matches.
I don't think it's going to reach. I think it'll hit that 6-star mark. I think it's going to reach 1 and 3. It's not going to reach 2 or 4. 4 is untouchable.
Okada has had one good match since signing to AEW, and even when he did AEW performances before that, his matches weren't great.
No, he's had a couple. His matches in the semifinals and the Continental were great. The match with Ospreay was incredible.
I just remember
with Ospreay, sure. He's familiar with
watching
that.
the Bryan Danielson match that was hyped to the moon, and that match sucked even before Danielson got injured.
The Forbidden Door match?
Yeah,
Yes.
it wasn't as good as what people were hyping up to be, but sometimes you get those hyped up matches and they're just not there. There's not many Okada versus like super technical wrestler matches that I've really seen, and I don't think they would flow that well.
I mean, he's had good matches with Zack Sabre Jr., right? I mean, with Danielson though, that match just comes with an insane amount of hype that I don't think. How do you live up to that kind of hype? Because they're effectively like mythical figures in pro wrestling right now, both Danielson and Okada. So I feel like regardless of where you have the match, regardless of what stipulation you add to it, you're going to have difficulties living up to whatever hype people will conceive in their minds, But that's just me on that take.
I don't know. I found him to be, for someone who wasn't too familiar with his work, hearing all the hype about him and then seeing his matches in the North American landscape, not worth the hype. People were saying he was the number 1 wrestler in the world in some capacities, and he has done nothing to prove that in the last probably 3 years that he's been relevant on North American wrestling television at all.
Hard to disagree on that one. That being said, Tony needs to shave like 4 matches at least on that card. And we'll talk more about that when it comes near, but at least 4 matches he can shave in order to give that match its due.
Yeah,
Kenny already can show. Kenny's shown he can go yet, in spite of everything. Now it's Okada's turn rather, to pull it out of his ass. Because if he's got to do it for anybody, it's got to be for Kenny. Like that's an immortal series of matches. And who's the other ones that they say like had like the greatest series of matches of all time? But I would say Omega and Okada probably eclipse that. It'll come to me at some random point and I'll shout it out.
The only ones close are Flair and Steamboat. Or
there was
Misawa and who was the other AJPW?
Kobashi? Kenta Kobashi?
Misawa and Kobashi. Those are like the mythical rivalries, but for the 2010s, it's Okada Omega. 2020s,
hands
you can
down.
maybe say Cody Roman so far, but it's maybe Cena and Punk for the most part is in that conversation, but it's like, I don't know. I really don't. But let's talk about what we really want to talk about today. That's Mr. Iguana.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
About time we got here, boys.
Yep.
I have been sitting on this one.
Yep.
Let's
We're going to
crack it
talk
open.
about him because we're talking about Worlds Collide. Worlds Collide happened last Saturday at the Kia Forum in Inglewood. The part one of a two-parter from WWE shows that weekend, which logistically may not have been the best weekend to have those shows, but not like they could plan that out in advance. So,
Mm.
but
Hey, they made it work.
yeah, they made it work for the first half. The second half, definitely the crowd was a bit light to start the show, but
Fair.
regardless, so this was an event with WWE and AAA, and yeah, we're gonna get into it right now with the first match had Mr. Iguana as well as Aerostar and Octagon Jr. defeat Latino World Orders, Dragon Lee and Cruz del Toro, as well as Lince Dorado. What'd you guys think?
Great.
A
Loved
lot
it.
of fun.
Best match to start the show they could have come up with, in my opinion.
Mr. Iguana is going to be super over with the United States crowd. He just fits WWE's sports entertainment vibe. Layeska is great. I'm sure they're going to start selling his puppet for $1 bajillion.
Mm-hmm.
This guy,
Lindsay,
he continually gets like I really want to talk about Mr. Iguana for a minute here. Like this guy,
Just a minute.
well, if there's anything on this episode that deserves 20 minutes,
Yes,
Mr. Iguana. Like let's be honest.
without question.
This guy had like zero following in anything. I'd never seen him before in my life prior to like the NXT episode before the show. I saw the name. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And now it seems like every day WWE is posting content about him.
they had a 7-minute compilation of just stuff he did from Worlds Collide.
Yeah,
Just him.
Let's like at the very beginning, like he comes and he slithers out and like that's cool, whatever. We've seen that before. But let me tell you, that little flip up that he did at the very beginning before the match started, where he gets Layeska from the ground and flips it up so he perfectly lands on his shoulder facing outward. Like
That's talent.
have you ever seen that
Clutch.
kind of aura in professional wrestling before? Because I sure haven't.
TKO is seeing green right now, and it's not because he's
2023
painted.
Roman Reigns is probably the closest.
And that even then, like, did Roman have such a like? I think about Roman and those things. I remember him getting stuck to the ladder in that last man standing match with Kevin Owens at the Rumble. Like that didn't have the kind of
He just needs to flip up.
Mr. Iguana would
solo.
never do that.
yeah. It's like Mr. Iguana would always find a way out, and Layeska would be right there to help him. But yeah,
Absolutely.
sorry.
Fuck Lince Dorado for what he did to Layeska. That was the greatest heel turn of all time.
the Spanish-
Sorry,
the standing-
Cena and Hulk Hogan.
The standing Spanish fly,
It's hilarious.
Absolutely.
It was so good.
Fucking
It was so fun.
Iguana puppet, like that's brilliant.
Just remorseless. Did you see he with the claws that he did too? After he did it, just
Well, he's a
evil
cat.
Lindsay.
He's a cat.
No, I've never seen him do that before though. I don't know what came out of Lince Dorado in that instance, but there's evil behind
Well,
that
cats
fuzzy
sometimes eat
mask there.
lizards. That's just how that is.
Until the lizard bites back, in which case Mr. Iguana served him his comeuppance,
But
and
yeah.
rightfully so.
Yeah, it was a fun match. I was saying in the chat, like, I mean no disrespect by this, 100%. The way Aerostar like jumps off the ropes or like does his dives and stuff, it looks like he's going to like catch his foot constantly. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it looked like he was gonna botch constantly.
Yeah,
and he didn't.
It was a little bit awkward in some spots, but he made it work.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's definitely got a reputation of throwing caution to the wind. He's got gifs online from maybe even like 10 years ago of him just doing crazy dives off of scaffoldings and shit. Like, Aerostar is no
New Jack
stranger to high risk. What?
Call that the new Jackisms.
immediately after this match, Dominic Mysterio got into a squabble with Octagon Jr. and challenged him to a match for the Intercontinental Championship at Money in the Bank. Why he did that and why he specifically challenged him for like the title doesn't really align with Dominic all that much, but whatever.
Right.
I don't understand why. Like, I get like talking nonsense, but like then why does he like get mad to a guy that barely says anything and then offer to defend his title too? Like that doesn't.
He was just scared to do it against Mr. Iguana because he knew he was going to lose.
Yeah, that's true, but
He had to,
Like-
make a point.
Aerostar, no, he sucks. Mr. Iguana, that guy's scary. And he's like, Octagon Jr., I think I could beat him.
well, he was at the Performance Center again this week. So, well, I'll ask a question a little bit later on in the show about something that he might be the answer to, but we'll get into that a bit later. I would imagine that he's going to be on WWE television again. They might want to strike while the iron's hot.
Yes, I agree. And the way they can do it is
Yeah,
there's
no.
there's a Fightful report
No.
about Danhausen's contract coming up next month with
Okay,
AEW.
that's
fine.
Sign Danhausen,
Christ.
dude. Mr. Iguana versus Danhausen at SummerSlam.
Oh no, you got to make it a
Oh,
triple
Lord.
threat with Joe Hendry.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
You gotta
Please.
get all the memes. No, I was going to talk about something else. Okay,
Well, you thought I was going into what happened?
do not.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up later.
No.
Next up was the tag match, the women's tag match. Stephanie, I want to say this the way that Nikki Bella said it on Monday. Vaquar. Stephanie Vaquar. Vaquay.
Wait.
Stephanie Vaquay.
Quavo.
And Lola Vice defeated Chick Tormenta and Dallas. Again, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right.
At least.
Sure. Great.
Dice.
This match was a match that
Dallas.
happened.
Also, you said her name wrong. Women's pioneer who paved the way for Io Sky, Nikki Bella.
Yeah, so
Says
this
who?
match happened.
Says Io on Monday. Did you miss that?
Oh, you know what? I might have, but it's probably for the best that I did, quite frankly. Because
It made me mad.
oh
A lot of
lordy.
things make you mad, though.
Well,
Yeah, I'm an angry person. Not as angry as you Canadians, but
I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing made me
oh,
angry
with your
that I
damn
heard
metric systems.
on Raw. I don't get mad
But,
talking about
yeah.
Vince McMahon.
the match was fine.
It was a
I'm
match.
sure Booker T gooned at home to a part of the match, which I liked. Conan kind of taking that Gooner T after the move ended. He's like, "Why'd they stop?" Fucking hilarious. Like he was
Conan
just like,
the man.
"Why'd they stop?"
I think Conan was... Corey Graves was really good on commentary, I think, for this show.
Yeah.
Since now is a good time to bring it up. I do not think Conan was particularly good on...
Conan can be a very, very good commentator. Like he's very good in that color commentary role. When he brought up some of the stuff that he brought up for the AAA side, it was great. But it just seemed like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, he barely talked. Some of his stuff, he repeated himself a fair amount. Like, it didn't seem conversational at all. Like, it was just kind of like he was reading off a cue card.
He kept going,
There's a
"Can
good
I say
chance.
something?" It's like,
Yeah. I think there's a good chance he might have been walking on some eggshells too, considering his stances on some things and the fact that he was on a WWE product calling commentary. I mean, there's a real chance of that too. And I mean,
Possible.
if they continue to do English, commentary for AAA shows, I could see him and Corey developing a good chemistry. I could see more coming out of Conan with time once he
some
gets more.
Morales.
Corey was
I mean,
very
the
good.
checks can't be bad.
Corey
Yeah,
was-
Corey is.
Morales from Conan. Wolfpack.
Corey was very good.
Yes, we're talking
He
about
was,
Corey being
yeah.
good. I don't know why we're talking about random
What?
factions.
I want to talk
Because
about
Conan was in
Corey.
one. And Conan showed in that faction that he could talk.
It's 2025, man.
Still
We're gonna
real
start
to
talking
me,
about Max
man.
Moon.
Still
We're
real
gonna
to
talk about
me.
Max Moon now.
Oh God.
Next
What was match three?
Yeah, next match. No, Another six-man tag. Legado del Fantasma defeated El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Pagano, and Psycho Clown.
I love El Hio's name. The
Still
son
ridiculous.
of the son
The son of the
Dr.
son
The
of the
son
Wagner.
of
doctor.
the yeah,
The
totally not better
grandson of the
than
doctor.
Dr. Wagner Tercera, like Santos put it. Which but anyways, we like our long run-ons coming from me.
Another fun match, like really fun match. The only person I really wasn't like impressed with for the AAA side was Pagano. It seemed like he just kind of moved in slow motion.
I mean, he
Yeah,
was a bit bigger though than most of the guys that were out there
Not
from.
not something you really see for AAA.
No,
on the note of botches too, I mean, like he came in hot off that tag, and then after that, like twice within, the first 5 minutes, he just shat the bed. I was like, oh Lord.
yeah,
And
I
you could
mean,
feel the air kind of come out of the room too. I was like, yes. And they say he's like he throws his body to the wind, like kind of like a Sabu type. So I'm like, whatever. If that's how they want to hype it, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, But I got to watch
maybe
some more of his matches to be
maybe he was just
triple
nervous.
sure.
That's
Entirely
understandable.
possible.
You got to remember, that's probably one of the bigger crowds they would have
Oh
seen.
So
yeah,
That's
is
definitely
the
in the States, right? So
they said it was the biggest
yeah,
streamed thing they've ever done on YouTube.
yeah,
yeah.
doesn't say the attendance for the actual show on here, but
Probably like 35,000. Knowing WWE, we'll just inflate the number for them.
wow, you're such a hater.
He's an angry person, though. You got to remember this guy.
Yeah, it's true. Uh,
And then
next
my anger arc for the podcast.
next match, Ethan Page successfully defended the North American Championship by defeating Javon Evans, Laredo Kid, and Ray Phoenix.
Hell of a match.
You watched this match,
Hell of a match.
right, Don? You did watch this match?
This was the only one that I did not watch on the card. I was able to watch most. Well,
Really?
that's in the women's tag match. Admittedly, I did not watch that either.
The one where I'm like, Don, you got to get in here and watch this one. This is like all the way up your alley.
Well,
Wow.
the main event is really like that's the one everybody need to watch. But
This was great, though, too.
This match was great. Right person won. I don't have much else to say for it. It was just a lot of fun. It was good, clean lucha fun with Ethan Page being an asshole.
Yep.
Makes sense why they took the belt off of Ricky for this one, because someone had to play the bad guy, right? And I'm glad we got to see some good Javon versus Phoenix spots, because that's been since Phoenix got signed. I'm like, they got to stake this one up at some point. So yeah, Javon looked right at home with the Flippy Boys. Naturally, though, I mean, we all kind of knew that.
Yeah,
But
Flippy and Bouncy are pretty synonymous, right?
relatively, yeah, they
Can't flip without
incorporate
bouncing.
airspace.
Mm.
Or as far as I know, you can't flip without bouncing. I can't flip at all. So
Mm.
I tried it one time. I hurt myself real bad. Wasn't a good scene.
Not smart.
Nah, I was
Uh,
8 though, so
oh, you bounce back then, right, when you're that age.
yeah, somehow, some way.
Main
But
events. El Hijo del Vikingo defeated Chad Gable and retained the AAA Mega Championship.
fucking hell. Can I do a thing?
a thing
Yes! I love that!
worthy of love, for
Fucking
sure.
hell. So far, I think this might be my match of the year. Like this was that good.
Really?
That or the women's triple threat for Mania.
Okay.
It had its little spots. I mean, like they had
Or
those
or
weird
night
little
one.
like they had those
So
weird little spots where it just sort of detracted from it. Like Vikingo got stuck in the corner, and then Chad's looking at the ref like, "What do I do?" I don't know. I mean, just little things like that took away from it for me. But I mean, yeah, I would strongly put that in for match of the year contender by the end of this year. If you didn't know who Vikingo was before, you sure as shit learned who he was after that match.
you gonna learn
Listen,
today or Saturday.
yeah, I learned that Vikingo could hit a fucking jumping Mexican destroyer from a
That was
post
sick.
to the middle of the
That was
apron.
sick.
Oh my god,
The other
that
stuff,
was gnarly.
yeah, the other stuff that I've seen him do before, I was like, okay, like this is his thing, that's fine. But like that was sick.
Yeah, fortunately, there were no spots where I feared for internal decapitation on his end. Like
No,
some spots that hopefully would have learned from his time in AEW to, take a little bit of time, measure out, measure once or measure twice, cut once type shit. But yeah, Chad brought his A game too, though. I mean,
Chad's just a great
these guys never.
showcase wrestler, and like the one that
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about, like I don't have this on my match of the year list. I actually think Penta's debut match against Chad Gable was better. Um, but
Understandable.
like Chad Gable is like the guy to show off new talent. Like he's just
definitely.
so good in the ring at doing these kinds of showcase matches, and this was no different.
Well, and he's a safe worker too. When you look at the fact that he did that, what I thought was a pile driver at first on Vikingo, where he hit him up with that, like, looked like a tiger bomb almost off the top rope.
Mm.
And the way that landed was, it looked actually pretty safe. Like from the first angle, it looked like he fucking killed him. But when you look at other angles, you're like, oh wow, that actually that was pretty safe. That was pretty legit. And I mean, kudos to Chad for like getting a move in that looks that high impact, but actually, wouldn't have ended anyone's career in that instance. So, but yeah, you are right though, Don. Like he is the guy, and I hope he gets his just rewards in time
Better not
for that.
lose to fucking Del Douchebag.
Well, I don't think Del Rio has any. I don't think El Patron has any legitimate shot at
The thing
reclaiming the
is
Triple A.
that Vikingo they put the title on Vikingo for this match for the reason of this match, but in Mexico they like the older wrestlers and Patron is a draw down there. So there's a very good chance he could get the title back. I just hope he doesn't.
I feel like with the fact that WWE had acquired AAA, I feel like that gives them a lot more stake. Granted, it's only like 51% of the stake that they have with AAA, and they put in a lot of their own guys too, like Borash and that. So, but I don't. They've already been hyping up Vikingo as effectively like the face. How many episodes of Raw has he been on now? Where he is the guy in the stands, the face of the company, now the mega champ. I feel like there's a lot more gas in the tank that Vikingo is saddling up right now, personally. And I feel like it would be, on top of all the other stuff that they've been catching flack for recently, I feel like throwing the strap back on El Patron would be a bad PR move. But again, my opinion on that.
Mm. Well, we don't know how often they'll be brought on to North American television like this, right? So
Hmm.
I could see
I
him
mean,
getting another stint and just not having it promoted on WWE television.
Right.
But that
I
was
mean,
that.
my hope is not, but yeah,
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. That was that
right.
show. Overall, what are your guys' thoughts on the show in general? Like, if you guys wanted to give it a score.
Honestly, like a 9 out of 10. It was a great show. The only real dud was the women's match, and I still think that was fairly good. Yeah, I mean, great opener, solid women's match, great tag match, great 4-way, amazing main event.
Yeah, Brandon.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say 8.5. Like you said, like the women's tag match was kind of a sleeper for someone who has as much history with the two. It was kind of odd to see Stephanie's pacing in that match, but I mean, she was dealing with three matches within the course of 24 hours, right?
Yeah,
So
she had to save gas
not
in the
like,
tank for later in the evening. I'll
yeah,
give
not
her a
like she was gonna
pass.
go. Yeah, she wasn't gonna go gung ho on that, so that's understandable, and that's why I probably wouldn't rate that much lower. Um, Conan could have brought more fire on the commentary spot, but again, I feel like that's probably will come out more in time, provided they continue to use him in that role. Maybe again for AAA broadcast down the line. So we'll see as that goes. But for a show that introduced effectively AAA to a lot of people in the States now, I feel like it did a bang up job.
Yeah, that's my impression too. Like I had no standards for this, and I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw, and apparently didn't watch the best match of the night, so or one of the best matches of the night. So,
Second best.
um, yeah, I'll give it a 9 as well. I think it overachieved for what it was supposed to be.
Birth of a legend, boys.
Yep,
Mr. Iguana. That pop on Raw that he got though was great. You know he's made now.
yep, yep. Next up was Money in the Bank, which was a couple hours later. This was out of the Intuit Dome. It's apparently
Very cool venue.
a 15-minute walk down the street, but with all the rioting and stuff that was going on in LA at that time, it was quite the nightmare to get people from one stadium or one arena to the other that were there, supposedly. Um, but attendance was still announced at 17,000. And the show started off with the women's Money in the Bank match. And Naomi defeated Alexa Bliss, Julia, Rhea Ripley, Roxanne Perez, and Stephanie Bakwe.
Duckworth.
I don't really have too much to talk about for this match. I think it was a kind of mediocre women Money in the Bank match. It just didn't really mesh that well. The only memorable spot was when the internet broke because of the Devil's Kiss from Vakwe to Replay.
Pat
Um,
McAfee needs to figure out what to say properly. If the crowd can fucking do it, he can fucking do it. Jesus
there.
Christ. Oi, oi, oi. Shut up, man.
But yeah, like I said, I don't have much to say. Meh match, but a great winner.
Yeah, I wasn't mad about my prediction being wrong. I would have figured Julia would have been an easy shoe-in for this one, but Naomi was certainly, with how she's renovated herself and taken a chance this late into her career, I feel like it was very well deserved. Um, oh, also, did you see the snazzy new briefcase sponsored by Cash App? Did we
Yes.
forget to sneak a plug in for good old corporate America?
I'm not getting paid
Or
by them, so I'm not going to fucking shill them.
I don't have a problem with
Mm.
it. Like there's so much belly aching on the internet about oh the ladder, oh the briefcase, oh the ring and the
I mean,
turnbuckles. Like give me a break. It
the
doesn't
fire
change anything that happens in the goddamn ring.
the fireball ladder is a bit excessive when they're like, we need to get Grande Americano the fireball ladder because it's better. It's like, what do you mean?
Very tongue in cheek, yeah. Very cheeky.
Or the slim ball or slim Jim table when they're like, oh, he's got the slim Jim table.
Yeah,
It's like, come on, just
I don't
call
think
a
it makes
table.
any difference whatsoever.
no. It's just people don't like the shilling. Simple as that.
Well, it's also representative of the direction that a lot of people are criticizing the company is going in now by virtue of the fact that it's owned by TKO, and you've seen a lot of these things. We could probably dedicate a
It's
whole show to
it's
that
not
too,
unique to
honestly.
TKO though. Every single major
The
sporting
UFC
brand
thing.
across the planet does the same thing. This is not even unique to North America. Look at F1, look at soccer internationally. Like it's just loaded with
Yeah.
advertisements. So
Yeah, I
like
guess whether or not I guess you can argue from like a moralistic standpoint, and right, but you're right
what's the
though.
morals of
Like
what's the
it's
morals
hardly
there? No,
novel.
no, no, hold on. What's the morals there of wanting to make more money? I don't understand. Like there's no
You're making this money from much money from sponsors. Fucking lower your ticket prices, you assholes.
that sure, I can give you that, but like I think in that sense too, like the market will dictate if that pricing is good enough, right? Like there's a reason why SummerSlam 2 night tickets were a hell of a lot cheaper than WrestleManias were, and I'm very curious to see what WrestleManias are going to be next year. Now that that's been announced to be in Vegas as well.
Well, if
Yeah.
we go, I say we wait and then upgrade again.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like, I'm not even guaranteed to go just because I booked the hotel. I just wanted to get a cheap rate, which,
Yeah.
haha, I did. But
Excelente.
I mean,
yeah,
I think I got a fairly cheap rate too. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how. I don't get expect it to get any cheaper, but anyways, yeah. But my point is like putting advertisements on stuff is not like morally wrong. I don't think that's fair, but
Uh, I think in a layman's terms way of thinking about it, it kind of shows what the company values. Which, I mean, if you're a company and you don't value money, then what the fuck are
You're a
you doing
publicly
as
traded
as a
company.
company?
They're obligated to.
Yeah, and in time we kind of figured this probably was coming. It's just like, I mean, when you have things that happen, like, and we'll talk about that later too, but developments that happen, changes in roster, changes in programming and prioritization of story, stuff like that, all affected by the bottom dollar is, I think, what people are kind of concerned about.
Yeah, but they've been
Um,
doing the changes in roster for years. When COVID was hitting and they were getting record profits, they were cutting half the roster. That's a
and
moot
they got
point.
a lot of flack for that too. I mean, but yeah, I
I
don't
don't.
know. Like I said,
There's some that are just egregious to me, but most of the time, like the mat, I really don't even notice that there's shit on the mat.
I see it.
right?
It
You just
doesn't
kind of get used to
influence
it.
anything. Like, sure, if the dialogue overly talks about it, like I'll give you that. Like, if the dialogue goes out of its way to like constantly shill something, I could see it being annoying. But like,
It's not as bad as fucking 9.99 WWE Network when the WWE Network first started, and they talked about it
That was a hell of a
constantly
deal.
every hour on the hour.
yeah, I don't disagree there either. So,
It's not
That was
as bad as it once was, but there are points where it can get gratuitous.
yeah, that's I get that. I get that. If it doesn't interfere with the product, I don't see what the big deal is. That's basically where I put the line in the sand.
sure.
Um,
Just hoping it doesn't interfere too much.
Sad. Time to find out who
uh,
I am.
Next up is Dom Mysterio defeating Octagon Jr. in 5 minutes. Like, again, why?
I didn't.
Too
I
easy.
was cooking dinner during this. I saw the finish, and I was like, "Great! What I thought was going to happen happened,"
Yeah,
and I'm glad Octagon got a moment.
Octagon Jr. had no chance of winning that match, and I don't really know. He's like, oh, so now there was 5 matches. Great. I don't even really count that one, to be honest.
Yeah. He got another defense under his belt, so I mean, he's yet to face any significant competition outside of Penta, but I mean, hey, one more, right? Arguably against sort of a TNA guy too, considering he's half of the Laredo or the half of
All
the
right,
Aztec Warriors with
come
Laredo
on. What's the
Kid,
next match? We don't need to stop it.
but had to throw that in there.
It was
No, you
not.
didn't.
It was not broadcasted as a WWE versus TNA match.
No, but you
It
can
was.
kind of count it as such,
No,
No,
you
you
even though it's
don't.
can't.
triple
No, you
A.
don't.
No,
No,
you
you don't.
can't. You can't.
He's on TNA pretty regularly.
He had what logo did he have when he came out on on the graphic?
Well, yeah, it's a AAA, obviously collaboration, so
Oh,
it's
there you
going to
go.
be
Then
representative
there's
of
your answer.
AAA.
You
I'm
don't.
also just
You don't
saying,
have to. No. He's a AAA guy. Simple
it's
as that.
okay. It's fine. It's fine. We don't got to argue. We can,
Yeah,
hey,
you're right.
sympathetic.
There's nothing to argue. He was a AAA guy
Because you
for
are
that
being
show.
objectively wrong.
Yes, I
It's
agree.
fine.
Next match was Becky Lynch defeating Lyra Valkyria and becoming the new Women's Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, it was a great match.
Was?
It was?
Donnie, you have your stance.
I don't think it was particularly great. It
It
was.
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. No. Like, and it wasn't bad, but certainly didn't get me out of my seat at any particular moment during that match. Like, I wasn't like, oh yeah, this is great, like, or wanting to force a "this is awesome" chant, which crowds fucking suck. I
Say
don't
for
want to hear.
sure.
I don't want to hear "this is awesome" anymore. I don't want to hear "we won tables" anymore. Like, those should be fucking banned. Anybody who says that, kick
Yeah.
them the fuck out. Like,
I'm
That
with
was
you
one of
and
Conan's good
Conan on
calls.
that one.
That was one of Conan's good calls. During the four-way,
Mhm.
they were chanting, "We want tables," and he's like, "Why are people chanting, 'We want tables'?
yeah,
Like, what's the
Yep.
point?"
I'm a K-Dog on that. Yep.
fucking stupid. But anyways, yeah, I think the match was fine. Like, I don't think it was better than their match at Backlash.
No,
So
I don't disagree.
people were poo pooing the finish, but like I think that was a logical finish for Becky to win. But
Yeah.
I
It
think
just
in
made
general
sense.
the match was just like fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's not a.
End of the
Go ahead, Brandon.
I mean, end of the match too, right? I think they were trying to accomplish something with, Becky getting Lyra to raise the hand and strap the belt on, and then Lyra finally snapping, which makes Lyra relatable, which is one of the things that they've, you know, been starting to do well towards the end of Lyra's reign. But I think now that Lyra's back in the hunt again, then maybe we can start to get some more momentum behind her now that she's actually showing more, I guess, human and less bird-like characteristics. But
I don't think she ever had
anywho,
bird-like characteristics.
I mean, she only flaps gigantic wings
It's like an
every match she
intro
comes
thing.
out.
Yeah, but that's an
She's a
intro thing.
Valkyrie.
I mean, she's the bird lady.
I'll tell
Everyone
you,
says this.
it was a lot better. It's her presentation, even with that, is a lot better than when I don't know if you guys watched NXT when she first debuted, where they literally had like some terrible graphical lightning storm come across the whole screen like the entire time, and it looked fucking stupid. I think it lasted like
Yeah,
2 weeks, and they're like, "Yeah, this is stupid," and they got rid of it.
yeah.
But
Well, they do that. They did that kind of with Becky too, with her original NXT gimmick being a Irish dancer. So maybe that's just a rite of passage for Irish wrestlers in WWE, Irish female wrestlers specifically.
could
Finn
be,
Balor's NXT debut was great.
could be. Um, Next match was the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Uh, oof. Seth Rollins defeated Andrade, El Grande Americano, LA Knight, Penta, and Solo Sikoa.
It's the exact
Hmm.
opposite of what I said about the women's match. Great match, meh winner. Brandon, it's not the worst Money in the Bank winner ever. It's the fucking you got us playing
It
with
makes
chances for
podium.
that. Thanks for that.
I mean,
It's not
yeah.
takes and bad takes. It's a bad take.
If it makes you feel better, Santi did agree with you, Pierce. I mean, I will say in my defense, I was very heated, and it was a heated moment. That's why they're called hot takes. I don't understand the disconnect there. Like, it was a hot take. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's a hot take. But after I cooled
Hey,
down, I will say, not the worst, not the worst, but it did make podium.
I
It makes
do
podium.
I do want to say, like, when it comes to hot takes, like, it's fine to have hot takes, but when you post them on a social media platform that the three of us share, and it maybe makes all of us look stupid as a result, not saying that that one necessarily did, but I'm just saying in general, and this goes for everybody, including myself, who doesn't really post very much, but probably not the best
Okay,
idea to post stuff that we, like, vehemently oppose
okay, fine.
ourselves.
I will say this. If it's something that I distinctly view, then I will be sure to clarify that it is uniquely my view
Yeah, like,
to
it's
save you
funny.
fellas the flack.
Yeah, because it's funny because I did say we don't need to like name stamp every single one of our tweets. And I still don't think we do, but if you're gonna come
Yeah.
way like, from the top rope, or
This is a
from
Brandon post.
yeah, then maybe it's a bit more appropriate.
Fair
Just
enough.
that doesn't just apply to that. Like that might also apply to some carrying cross tweets that I see that seemingly come out every day too. Uh, I get it. You like him.
He's a friend of the pod
Hey, great. That's great.
because of me.
Great. That doesn't mean he deserves every single opportunity. No offense.
He
He's
doesn't get
also a
any
keeper of the
opportunities.
backstage
What's it
area, right?
matter?
I
Right. He's
suppose
also the
that's. I
keeper of
suppose
the
that's.
backstage area right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't get any fucking opportunities.
If that was the case, then Brandon would be tweeting nonstop about Austin Theory, and thank God he doesn't. And that's not permission for you to do
It's
so
coming though.
either.
He's
Give it
he is
time.
the worst Money in the Bank winner, and I'm stamping that. That's a fucking Pierce take right
I
here.
don't think he was
All
necessarily the
right.
worst winner. I do think it was the worst cash in. That I will say.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm a Theory fan. I will back that too.
It's
That
him
was
or Brock.
fucking
Those are
awful.
it's one
Nah,
of those two.
Brock in the Bank was great.
Brock in the Bank
was
great, but the
money.
win sucked.
Eh.
Literally sucked the life out of the end of the pay per view.
Yeah, if the alternative was Mustafa Ali, there wouldn't have been much energy in the pay per view either.
Do you think he really would have fared better than like Otis,
That guy
as an
had no
example?
pop. Like, let's not pretend like Mustafa Ali wasn't over with the crowd.
He was
Right, and I
decent.
don't know where he gets his. I don't know where he gets his idea where he would have been like, "Oh, Kofi Mania would have been totally my thing if I would have just won Elimination Chamber and da da da." I don't know. I don't think so.
You don't
He
know
could have
what's
gotten
gonna
rich.
happen.
You
It's all
you don't, but like it's indicative like what you see the crowd, how you see the crowd react. Like you know, relating some of who are we talking about? Andrade in this. I know we're deviating from the topic here. I kind of want to circle it back, but like
yeah. Go ahead.
Andrade had no hope in hell of winning this Money in the Bank ladder match, right?
Mm,
Like no hope in hell. And all you need to do to understand that is watch his entrance from this Money in the Bank matchup. Nobody gives a shit
that's been his entrance literally since he came back
since he
from
came back.
AEW.
So
Oh my
why
God, it's so sad.
why would we want to put somebody in that position to be a potential top guy when nobody gives a shit? Right? People care about Seth Rollins right now. Was he the right winner? I don't think so. I said there was only one right
No.
winner, and more or less we all agreed on that. Excuse me. But at least Seth has elements there. Like he gets fan engagement. Like the story that they're going with right now is relatively interesting. Did he need the Money in the Bank briefcase? No, but like people that get no pop shouldn't all of a sudden be thrusted into forced positions, right? To be all over the TV.
So Austin Theory is what you're saying.
Yeah, I would agree. I would also extend that to Austin Theory because nobody gave a shit about him either when he won.
Besides
Mm,
Brandon.
I did.
He
I
wasn't
can
getting
attest to that. I would say.
he wasn't getting pops, obviously because he was a heel, but the boos were just like which are like disinterested
Yeah,
boos, not like Dominic Mysterio boos or Logan Paul boos or whatever.
yeah.
Like there's levels on both the face side and the heel side. When you get like
Look,
that just disinterested reaction, that's when you know this guy's not good enough. My
Yeah,
there
I feel like
there
he's
was
coasted.
there were two winners that I said I'd be okay with. Um, I mean, it looks like LA Knight's now going into a feud with Seth Rollins' group, which makes no sense because he's on SmackDown. But I guess because it's King of the Ring, they're gonna cross over. I guess. I don't get it. Seth didn't need the briefcase.
LA Knight did.
LA Knight
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Grande would have been fine with it. Solo would have been fun with it.
Oh, we had a big story moment for Solo in that match. Which, by the way, Solo was the MVP of that match. I don't care. Every time
Fine.
he has the focal point on the camera, I was laughing. Like, guy is so good with his like SpongeBobby, Mimi, just like impersonations and facial expressions and stuff. Like, I love Solo right now. Guy's great.
Besides Jacob,
Yeah,
who
Jacob
clearly
Fatu does
does not
not.
love Solon.
Yeah, well, that
Not
that
anymore.
that happened.
He in fact hates him.
And
He
like,
said so
and
himself.
now we're gonna have Solo continue to be a heel when he's clearly getting more traction with his animated personality, which tends to lead more into a face role than a heel role.
Mm.
I don't
I'll say
know.
this about Solo. I was very critical of him and what people were saying about him for a while in the position that he was in. He is definitely, in my opinion, over the last 12 months, the MIP in WWE next to Dominic. Like, he has come
Oh,
so far from where he was last year in terms of his character. Like, he would have won the briefcase. I honestly, this year, would not have given a single care. In fact, I probably would have really liked it. Like,
And
granted, now he's still going for a title, but
yeah, the thing is though too
not.
with that is Solo had personality in NXT. He was very good. Not as good as he is
Mm,
now, but like for where he
it was
was in his
there.
development, he had plenty of natural charisma, and they just bottled it when they brought him
Sure.
up to the main roster to be the silent enforcer. And then they did this whole like rugged, you know, street gang leader, and that like that
Yeah.
doesn't work with his skill set, right? Similar to what we talked about with
No.
Austin Theory, where that dickish heel doesn't work for him, right? Like sometimes you just cast these people in roles that they're not suited for. And now
Right.
you actually have a lane where you could bring Solo into this likable personality, and it just doesn't seem like they're going to go do it right now.
It's just the timing of it is just rough too, for the fact that you've got Jacob Fatu, who now is de facto face after he turns on Solo after, you know. being made to look like an idiot, a la Batista Triple H back in '05. And Solo, right, like you said, he's just got this really affable, fucking hilarious, relatable personality. And you want to cheer for him, but now you've got Jacob who's jumping in the face role, and you're like, well, now what the fuck do I do? Who the fuck do I cheer for at, Night of Champions or SummerSlam whenever this pops off between the two of them? It's
And that's
conflicting.
that's a conflicting part. Yeah, conflicting is perfect to say there because I think Jacob could still get plenty of pops as a
Oh
monster
yeah,
heel because of the skill set that he has and the charisma that he has when he is on the microphone.
yeah, he's a very different kind of a face archetype than Solo would be if he were to turn. But face v face, I mean, especially in this context of a story, like that's
It can't
I
happen.
don't know how they would do it.
It can't happen.
Be interesting to see. Be interesting to see how the crowds will react, though.
Pierce, did you
For
want to
sure.
add to that at all?
I don't really have much to add. I think Jacob's going to be face not long. It's going to be for this feud, and then something's going to happen. He'll be back to monster heel. But yeah, Seth was just the wrong winner. You can get a title shots just by asking.
Yeah.
It should have went to LA Knight.
Same issue with Charlotte that you had with Charlotte winning. I guess like at least that there's a parallel lines up there with Seth because he easily could have challenged for that title at Crown Jewel, or sorry, not Crown Jewel, Night of Champions, or even SummerSlam, where for the winner who the champion that doesn't have
He wins King of the Ring, I wouldn't have been mad. But Money in the Bank, I get it. He's a heel. That briefcase is better in the hands of heel, but it's the wrong heel. If they're going with a heel, go with Grande or Solo.
main event.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean it would have been kind of a foregone conclusion if you're talking about like someone like Grande. I couldn't see Grande actually like
Grande would lose.
winning.
That's the thing, right? Like Grande would lose, and
And
then
you've had
what's the
already
point?
right. I mean, it's kind of foregone. It's kind of like when Drew won last year. It's like, well, he's not going to win. You know who's going to cash in on. You know he's not going to win. Kind of same with Grande. Like regardless of who's champion when, no, it would have never worked. A foregone conclusion. Kudos to him for doing double duty that night.
You're wrong. That didn't happen.
Nope, didn't. Main event.
Oh, okay.
Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defeated John Cena and Logan Paul in a tag match with the help of Ron Killings, not R-Truth.
Said his name right.
Yes.
Ron the Truth Killings. All right. I don't think anybody expected this. We did not get worked. The man himself and his son, Fightful, the WON, everybody besides Triple H in that press conference said this was not a work. That was, and I don't get why the fans are mad they didn't get worked. We, the fans, had an outcry for something, and people in the company were super unhappy that this happened too. And they're letting this man get his last run his way. R-Truth, not world champion material. If you know who Ron Killings is, that's a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he will win the world championship, but he could be a contender. That said, match was good. Jay obviously super over with the fans. Still going to be super over next week for reasons we'll talk about after this match. Cody is Cody. Logan did flippy shit that annoyed me but looked good.
Why does it annoy you, man? Why? He's a good wrestler.
He's a good wrestler, but he's just a piece of shit. Like, as a human being, he's a piece of shit.
Are they exclusive
I
to
think
Logan Paul?
I that's the thing, right? Where do you draw the line compared to all the other wrestlers that might do shitty stuff that you may or may not know about, right? Like,
I mean, right. I get what you're
I
saying.
could see that.
His stuff is out in the open, and I've thought this way about him for 10 years due to a incident in Japan.
sure, but like,
So-
what has he done recently? What has he done in the last like couple years? Like,
The Crypto Zoo thing where he stole a bunch of money from his fans, didn't pay it back, even though he said he was going to. He's on paper, or he's on tape saying he's going to pay everybody back, and he has not.
I have zero sympathy for crypto anything, quite frankly.
It's all a gamble,
Are those the
frankly.
same people that invested into Haktua coin?
Oh Lord.
Like, give me a
Yeah,
break.
for their sake.
Hey,
I
get
just
rich quick
if you
schemes.
go
It's like,
online and say you're going to do something, do it. Don't lie about it. You know what I mean?
Well, and there's other controversies surrounding him too, and the fact that like he's a guy coming in who is effectively a YouTuber, largely famous for controversial things that he's done, and now he's just living out this dream that a lot of people who probably follow him have probably had themselves too. Like he just shows up, he's a great wrestler, the company's 110% behind him, and he's showing his worth. Like, and I think that's frustrating to some people too. Like, and I can see why. Because I mean, right, like people like that shouldn't be in positions where they can profit and become potential baby faces, shall we say, right, and earn that redemption in spite of all the shit that they've done or said. So I can see that perspective, and I've heard that perspective from some people too. But at the end of the day, he plays his role very, very well, better than I would say anybody in the history of the company who's been in the company with as short a time frame as he's been in it. And he's also very, very good, like you said, Don, in the ring.
yeah, he is
So
very good.
I will never take that away from him. He's great in the ring. I just
I think he's had one
I,
bad match his entire career, and I don't even
the
know if it's
AJ
his
match
fault.
was,
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
match.
yeah,
But
but yeah.
um, back to R-Truth for a second, as I want to ask a question associated to this. And we got the promo with him on Monday. Um, do you think this change of direction for him actually will have people care as much about him in a few months? Like John Cena said something very interesting during his promo, I thought, where he called out that the fans aren't going to care about him because he's just going to be old news within the next 6 months. And I
Mm.
would challenge that with this very clear change in direction with where R-Truth is going, are the masses of fans going to care about him as much?
It
As
remains to be
I
seen.
think there's a risk there that they took by making this character change. Yes, I understand who he was like before as Ron the Truth Killings, his work in TNA, his early stuff in WWE, right? Becoming a more serious person, he's capable of doing that. That's great. But like that's not what got him over to the point where people would have been reacting the way they were to get him his job back.
Right.
Internally, sure, we can't speak to that, right? But externally, do you think a fan cares if so who would be a heel in that kind of like position right now? Like, you know, I don't know that there is one, but like if you think of almost any heel on the roster right now, if he was let go, would fans care as much? I don't think so. So I'm curious on with this decision to bring him back in a more potentially, we don't know, it's still early, but a more serious role where he cuts his hair on live TV. Like, is it gonna matter?
it's tough to say right now. I'm invested. I'm excited to see where he goes, but I'm one person. So
I want to see what happens next. Don't get me wrong, but I'm skeptical on how long term something like this could be.
I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the fans continue to latch to him because, right, in some cases, fans can be very, very fickle. I'd like to think that Truth came back on terms that were satisfactory to him. This is for sure going to be his last run.
Sure.
Um, whether or not that involves him, vying against Cena or being in a top of the card role, I certainly believe that Truth, even in his advanced age, can bring it, his character and in ring, to compete with anybody on the top of the card, quite frankly. But right, it's just a matter of like whether or not he can hold on to this sudden burst of intrigue that's developed because of something that, I mean, Carlito didn't get this kind of love, right? I don't see Carlito coming back in a similar fashion, unfortunately for him,
He won't be.
and for
no,
me. But like, it's, I mean, there, I feel like it almost kind of, I was going to say it sets something of a precedent too for like going forward. So now like, are you going to have a lot more people kind of advertising their situations in a similar way? I mean, Tegan Knox has been advertising her situation online. Is she going to suddenly think she's going to be getting a petition for a comeback and a push? Like,
I
is this
don't.
going to happen with a lot of wrestlers?
No, but I mean,
Like,
there's been cases where, like, I think back to like a last high profile release. When I say like, there's been like a lot of releases, but like a high profile like release that ended up didn't the person didn't get hired back for a couple years with Bray Wyatt, right? They didn't hire him back,
no,
no matter what
No.
the outcry was, right? I don't think really much comparable since then. Like, there's been obviously a number of releases, right? But like, not really any stars. And arguably, R-Truth was not a star when he was released either. Like, knowing that
no,
the alleged circumstances that he got that match because he was leaving with Cena, right? Like, if they just don't put him in that match, do we even get this reaction that we do?
right. Yeah, it's one of those situations where it's
Probably
kind of like
not.
stars aligning,
I don't think so.
right?
So I'm curious. I want to see what happens next. I'm interested in the character, but I do have some reservations on how the crowd as a whole will react to his character. Not necessarily in the next 2 weeks, but maybe in the next 4 to 6 months, where it's like, what are we getting out of this that's continuing to entertain us? So we'll see.
Right. He'll have to work past the shock value of everything. And it kind of reminds me of like the Daniel Bryan situation too, right? When he got let go. Granted, his situation was a little bit different,
That was
but
very
there was fan
different.
outcry. Yeah, you're right. But there was a lot of fan outcry to that as well. And ultimately, I mean, it did bring him back. So,
This is closer to Matt Hardy's release than Daniel Bryan's.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
mm,
Daniel Bryan they brought back for the Nexus match. I don't think they really were gonna. And then to have the Miz feud, I don't think they expected it to be as big as it was. But like, this is closer to Matt Hardy's release in '05.
mm, that's fair. Can't argue with that.
Um, Now on Raw, I don't really like talking too much about weekly shows, but just really quickly, there is before we get into the main event for that show, there are King and Queen of the Ring qualifying matches, and those are continuing. We'll see who ends up winning. There is a mystery spot on the Raw men's side. Do we want to take any guesses on who that could be?
Probably Ilya.
I think he's as good a guess as any. I mean, it's three meaty boys in that match already. So I almost feel like you want to complete that with, but I mean, who would you get, right? So Ilya has been on the return docket for a little bit now. I'd say now would probably be a good a time as any prior to SummerSlam to bring him back into the fold. Um, and seeing him go with like Sheamus and Rusev and the like Bronson, that would be fucking that'd be some chef's kiss
Oh,
type
fun.
shit. Hmm?
Um, Sorry, what'd you say, Pierce?
Sounds like a fun match.
Other names that
Mm,
we could consider here: Karrion Kross, not on the list. A lot of attention on him.
mm.
Um, Mr. Iguana.
Well, there's your meaty boy. Hey,
Could we get a Mr.
capitalize on that.
Iguana or a Joe Hendry here?
Maybe.
Or could we get the former world heavyweight champion?
Depends on if he's hurt or not.
So that leads into the main event of Raw, where Gunther is your new world heavyweight champion. He defeated Jey Uso, clean as a whistle, no nonsense, nothing like what happened at WrestleMania, where he tried to pull a stunt. It was just typical Gunther being the dominant heel and winning. He is the new champion.
No burials in the desert.
No, he did not get buried in the desert, much to my dismay. I do wonder
Yeah.
if Jey Uso was notably not comfortable in the post-show little interview that he had outside with Cody.
Mm,
Brandon, you really wanted to think that he had had some drinks, but he was not jovial. He was not like he looked real
I mean,
uncomfortable.
I was looking at Cody too, and I thought based on like previous performances that there would have been a repeat here. But yeah, there could be something legitimately going on with Jay, and if that's the case, then I hope that he's all right. I mean, I
Yeah.
certainly don't wish any. I have my opinions on his gimmick and his push, but I don't want any ill to befall the man at all. So I hope he's well. I hope he continues to stay well. Um, yeah, I wonder if this was the direction they were deciding to go in. Now, I wonder if he was meant to retain, but then they decided to pivot. Who's to say? But I'm certainly not mad at the decision
I'm
at
honestly
all.
not mad either. Like I didn't like the idea of Jey Uso winning at WrestleMania, but I didn't mind how he was presented outside of the excessive 10-minute heat fests.
Mm.
I think he was fine, more or less. Um,
Thought he had a good reign.
it was fine. It was quick. It did what it needed
He's
to
taking on all
do.
comers.
Yeah.
Pop the crowd. Pop me.
Pretty much like his Intercontinental Championship reign. He got it in, got one defense in, and then he lost it back to the guy who he won it from. So, mirror
who
image.
who becomes a notable challenger for Gunther at this point?
Sami Zayn. That's your SummerSlam match.
You think that's a SummerSlam? Oh, I guess
The
because if he's
winner of
participating in
King of the
King of the Ring.
Ring and challenges Gunther.
And then maybe
Yeah,
cash in after if Sammy wins. That makes sense to me.
You think they're gonna pull the trigger on Sammy that early? And then potentially still give him the Royal Rumble too? Like, does he just win every Saudi match he gets?
Daniel Bryan storyline.
or he could even just remain champion, and at some point, I don't know why he turned heel, but I mean, he could be heel going into Mania too, some chicken shit type. But that's hard to do when you have Seth Rollins on the roster and is mega stable, and then what do you do with that?
Yeah,
So
and
maybe I rethink that.
yeah, because now we've got two heel
But
champions right now, right? You got John Cena still as champion on SmackDown, and you have Gunther. They're different heels, but um,
right,
they're still heels, right? So you'd have to think in somewhat short order. Like I don't think Gunther's going to have a long reign here either.
No.
I don't see
not
him.
super long.
I don't see him
Shortest
holding
Sammy
this
could reign
title past the
of
Rumble.
his
I would
career.
say, like, so, like maybe he gets a 6 month reign ish, but
Yeah,
I don't
I'd
see
say.
him like being a champion going into Mania next year again,
Hmm.
and then probably
Yeah,
losing again.
yeah. Please no. Like that would be so. It's like with Asuka, right? Like how good they are, but then if they lose at Mania every single year,
Which,
like
which, by the way, Asuka's back next week. Thanks,
Yeah,
she
women's
spoiled
is.
that.
bracket. Thanks, women's bracket, for showing that one. Would have been a little bit more fun as a mystery on the women's side, but yeah,
But
she's back next week.
Yeah, nice little surprise for the Cheeseheads up in Green Bay there. I ain't going to the show, but I kind of wish I was now.
tickets are way too expensive.
How much are they?
For the Rec Center,
$120 at the lowest.
Oh, geez.
Lordy.
I
Yeah,
still, I
that's
still got
that's
to look at.
excessive.
I still got to look at all out tickets. I didn't buy them right away because I know they won't sell out. So, but I'll look at that. 'Cause that's like, I mean, what show does sell out that quickly? When it's even WWE shows, you can find stuff pretty easily. You just have to be willing to pay the premium, right?
Well, I guess based on the reputation of Canadian fans up there, I figured y'all would have had that shit swept up, the second that opened up.
Let me
Y'all
see.
ravenous wrestling fans, you.
All out.
I want to give a quick shout out to our buddy Titan J, United Kingdom professional wrestler. He's a good dude. Give him a follow on Twitter.
Good on you, bruv. I don't know if he says bruv. I don't know if that's the region he's from, but we'll say it anyway.
Yeah, there's lots of tickets still
Did you,
available.
wow.
As cheap
Same for all
as
in.
$52.
Hmm.
Canadian dollars.
Canadian dollars.
52 Canadian.
52
Wow.
Canadian dollars to go to All Out.
Somewhere between like what, 45, 47 American, thereabout?
About that.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah. So
What?
I gotta look them up. going to Canada. I'll have to see about that.
We got anything else to talk about tonight, boys?
I guess we can talk about how we are getting CM Punk versus John Cena at Night of Champions.
Let's talk about that a little later. We'll talk about that when Night of Champions comes up. I mean, it's happening. I'm excited it's happening. Not excited for where. But there's a new
Yeah.
lady on NXT, Brooke Monroe.
Oh,
AKA
her name is
Brian
what
Lane.
now?
Brooke Monroe.
It's who Monroe?
Did I say that
Do
wrong?
you say Brooke
I
when
did.
it's Blake
Blake.
Monroe?
Excuse me.
Blake. Yeah, Blake.
Yeah,
I think it's a good name.
it works. I guess she actually ripped off Sabrina Carpenter with her like concert intro with that whole bathtub thing,
You're
Yeah.
telling me
which very topical.
wrestling took stuff from the mainstream? That's not like
I
them
know,
at
right?
all.
It must be a day that ends in Y, hey? But yeah, no, I thought I think it's a great name. I think it's something you could easily slap on a shirt or any piece of merch. Rolls off the tongue nice. Fits her. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for this era of Mariah, like
Blake
Monroe, May,
Monroe.
Lake Monroe.
All right.
It's a good time.
I think that covers our show tonight. What do we have? Oh, next week's the hot take, semi-annual.
Yeah. Well, hey, since we're on the note of hot takes, I figured now would be a good time as any to crack that sucker back open. Let's open up the doors and enter the hot take emporium for the second time this year. And the
Sounds good to me.
hottest. Yeah, it's summertime, boys. It's getting hot, hot, hot.
Cool. I got nothing else.
Well, it's hot.
I don't either. Brandon, you good?
Yeah, I put over to Hot Take Emporium. Just I'll come loaded. I'm sure you know.
All right, send us home.
In that case, thanks for stopping to the Ope 3-Way. Have a beer on us. We'll see you next time. Have a great night.